Hello and welcome. This is Faceless Opinion, wishing I brought a better ally with me. Welcome you to not Skyrim month. That was last year, but in honor of the series becoming a year old, I decided, you know what, let's do something special. So the holidays are coming early, and I present to you some bonus Skyrim videos that I will be releasing throughout the month of November. And no, I'm not releasing videos every day. I'd rather not relive that. This time, it will be once a week. Some of these videos were either originally planned to be released last year, but got cut, were ideas that were thought of after the fact that made me go, shoot, I wish I thought of that earlier, or were topics that were recommended by a friend. Well, for our first Skyrim Month bonus episode, we're going to be talking about followers. The worst followers, which makes sense since I made a video talking about the best ones last year. For this one, I am going to follow the same rules from that video. I will not be judging the follower based on how powerful they are or their overall stats. That is kinda boring to do. Instead, I'm going to go over other aspects like their personality, design, what you have to do to get them as a follower, amongst other things. I will only go over followers that are actual followers, so no summons, no mercenaries, no housecarls, no followers added in through mods, no console commands, no temporary allies. Now, with that out of the way, let us get started. Number 10, Annika Crag-jumper, formerly an adventurer turned miner. Annika can be found at Darkwater Crossing and can be enlisted as a follower by killing a random bandit leader. Now, compared to the other followers on the list in a combat sense, I would say that she's probably one of the better ones. But the thing that kind of puts her on this list for me would be that she likes to talk about her adventurer lifestyle, but had to stop because she got married. To me, she comes off as one of those people who are more interested in reliving their past glories instead of living their current life. Evident on how she talks about her husband as she calls him a milk drinker or a sad stick, since he won't adventure with her, even though her husband, Vernier Rockcrusher, is trying to work the mine to support the family and would like it if his wife would contribute more to the work effort than go off exploring random caves. To me, Annika comes off as someone having a midlife crisis trying to reclaim their youth, and I don't want any of that on my adventure. Number 9. Agmaer. Compared to the other members of the Dawn Guard, I would say that he is definitely going to be at the bottom compared to the others when it comes to combat skills, which makes sense since when we first encounter him, he is just some farm boy armed with his paw's axe and whose only combat experience is fighting wolves. Sure, Isran gets a small laugh at that, but he sees promise in the boy and lets him join. Agmaer is someone who wants to protect his people from the vampire menace, which leads to him joining the group, and that is commendable. I just wish that we got to see Agmaer's training and journey, to see him become a pro vampire hunter like the others, but unfortunately we don't get to see that since most of the other characters in that questline take a back seat to the player and Serana. And since we don't know how far he's come with that training, I don't know for sure that he would have been better than the other members who have the experience. Also doesn't help for the fact that whenever I storm Castle Volkihire, Agmaer always ends up dying in my playthroughs. I mean, seriously, what is the deal with that? Number 8, Njada Stonearm. Arguably the most rude and irritating person on this list, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone since I had her as a dishonorable mention in my disliked NPCs video. Njada, compared to the others on this list, I would say is the best follower in regard to combat. When it comes to her personality, she is dreadful. She has an unpleasant attitude and an uncaring disposition, as she will always make comments about how you were able to join the companions to begin with, to starting fights with other members, like how when you first entered your Vesker, you see her and Aethys fighting. I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to treat a shield sibling. Then, when you become Harbinger, you think her attitude would change, but nope, still acting like a bitch. She's a decent fighter and can train you in blocking, but if you're looking for a follower from the companions, go with anyone else. Number 7, Dark Brotherhood Initiate. All I have to say for this one is boring. I mean, seriously, the Dark Brotherhood had a wide variety of members who were memorable in their own way, but the one we get as an actual follower is some blank default rando who doesn't even have a proper name. They're just called Dark Brotherhood Initiate. I wish we'd gotten Nazir as a follower. We could have had a quest where we were actually trying to recruit someone to join instead of getting whoever this nobody is. And yes, I know the Initiate has the ability to level up alongside the player indefinitely, but I don't care. For me, I want a follower that has personality and presence, and the DB Initiate has none. So I'm going to stick with Cicero on this one. Number 6, Cosnach. Is a drunk you find at the Silver Blood Inn who you can beat up in a brawl and end up banning as a follower. And that's about it. I explained his entire character. When he isn't working at the Arnliff & Sons trading company, he is at the inn drinking. And with the amount of time I hear him say, "I don't have any shipments to bring in," expect to see him with a tankard in hand. Alcoholism aside, he can be a bit of a prick with conversations he has with other NPCs. For me, I think he's kind of trashy with all the drinking he does, and the fact that he also lives in the slums. I don't know why, but I always end up picking Cosnach as the person I end up sacrificing to Boethia during the quest Boethia's Calling. Maybe because I don't want to sacrifice someone important, I guess. Number 5, Faendal. He is a Wood Elf Ranger and is one of the 2 available followers you can recruit from Riverwood, the other being Sven, both of whom are earned by giving their mutual love interest, Camilla Valerius, a fake love letter and saying that it is from the other person, effectively destroying their chance at getting with her. Truth be told, they're both kind of awful people since they both pull that stunt, but let's focus on Faendal, for now. When it comes to his skills, with archery, I have to say he's kind of mid-tier, as there are many followers who can use a bow and are better than him with it. Personality-wise, he seems decent at first, but when he asks you to lie to Camilla to make Sven look bad just so he can shack up with his crush, is both morally dubious and kinda simpish as well, and I don't align myself with simps. Number 4, Derkeethus, is actually the only Argonian follower in the game. However, he is not a very good one. For this one, if you've never heard of this guy, I don't blame you since he's kind of an obscure follower. Since unfortunately for Derkeethus, he was abducted by the Falmer and is being held prisoner at Darkwater Pass. After freeing him from his captors, he is eligible to be used as a follower. And he's not great since his only weapons are a pickaxe, since he's a miner, and a bow, which most followers come equipped with. Then when it comes to character, he doesn't really have any, since there are no interesting conversations to be had or interactions he does. All in all, he is useless and forgettable, and this is probably the most exposure he will ever get. Number 3, Roggi Knot-beard. Normally I don't really like to factor in-game stats, since if I did this, the list would be rather straightforward and boring. In this instance, for not just Roggi, but the other 2 followers ranked above him, I am making an exception. Roggi is a drunk miner who can be recruited by finding and returning his ancestral shield from a randomly selected cave. As stated from earlier with Cosnach, I'm not a fan of drunks, and if I had to work with one, I'd rather choose Cosnach over Roggi. The big thing that makes Roggi so bad is because the 3 main skills he specializes in are smithing, alchemy, and enchanting, thus meaning that Roggi's combat skills are effectively garbage. Why would you create a character who's supposed to be used for combat purposes and have him specialize in non-combative skills? That is just plain stupid. Number 2, Adelaisa Vendicci. Unfortunately, she is in the same boat as Roggi Knot-beard, as she too also falls in the same camp since her main skills are also smithing, alchemy, and enchanting. And I think the thing that makes it worse is when you first see Adelaisa, you think she's some beastly looking soldier since she's sporting that Legion officer outfit and helped play a role in taking down the pirates who were interfering with the East Empire Company in the quest Rise in the East. But she isn't. In the game files, she's classified as a civilian, and because of getting my hopes up and deceiving me that she was actually going to be a decent follower, she earns her spot at the number 2 spot. Number 1, Sven. It should be no surprise to see this bard in the top spot. He is usually considered by every Skyrim YouTuber to be the worst follower in the game, and I'm inclined to agree. Just like Faendal, he asks you to lie to Camilla to make his rival look bad just so he can shack up with his crush, which I stated earlier I have an issue with. I mean, not exactly the best way to start a relationship, and just like Roggi and Adelaisa, Sven is also part of the same camp in which his main skills are smithing, alchemy, and enchanting. Not to mention, I kinda never liked Sven to begin with. I always thought he was kind of a tool, which is why I always sided with Faendal more. He called his own mother crazy because she saw a dragon, which given the fact that this conversation happens after you escape Helgen, I'm taking her word on it, and Sven is a dick to his mom. Now, those were the top 10 worst followers in Skyrim. Honestly, most of these people shouldn't even be considered followers, like a couple of them don't even have armor. And yes, I know, I could equip them armor, but why should I? If you're planning on going an adventure with a well-known figure like the Dragonborn, I expect you to bring your own equipment. I think that is a reasonable request. Now tell me, do you agree with who I put in this list? Are you upset with some of my choices? Do you think somebody else should have been on the list? Comment down below. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like and make sure you subscribe for more of that Skyrim content throughout the month. Until next time, I'll catch you all on the flip side.